You're listening to Rio Radio, the nationally trusted name in real estate investing. We dig deep to discover investors' why in real estate. If you want to skip all the BS and get in investors' heads, you're in the right spot. Be one of the thousands to check out RioRadio.com.
As a millennial, we have a very unique place to be. We have a unique moment in time where we had to learn how to do everything manually, and then technology came. So I think for lack of a better term, I kind of bootstrapped my way into life and into this life. Something that I really want to leave in this world is my authenticity and my ability to be your real estate cheerleader, your life cheerleader, your goal cheerleader. I hope that that's what people see and hear from me. I've heard it mimicked back to me from my mentees and from some of the people in my subgroup, and I'm very reliable. So I think that that's something that will be said about me many, many times.
Welcome to Real Radio, episode 260 with Jennifer Newby. Okay, so Jennifer, when I first met you down in New Orleans, and to set the stage, it was the National Real Estate Investors Association conference for all the RIA owners and board members around the country. We bonded because we're one of the few people that were around the same age and around. But we were definitely the 1 percentile for people that are under 50 years old that were there. And out of that, we started playing a game that we learned in one of our breakout sessions, and it was this: tell me your life story in 60 seconds. So since that was the first question I asked you when I first met you, we're going to start off here and say, Jennifer, since you are the official ghost and nobody knows you, can you tell us your life story in 60 seconds?
Absolutely. Is the timer started?
It started.
Great.
And go.
Born and raised in New York, pretty poor. Didn't have much of a goal in life. Moved out of New York as soon as I hit 24. Me and my husband, we knew that we weren't going to get ahead in New York. It was a big rat race. So we moved to Asheville, North Carolina, and started the journey of goals. We had goals and we met them, and that was new. That was different. No one in my life had goals. The goal was survival. So we started that beautiful journey, and we worked super hard at all of our goals, and each one we achieved, we felt like we could do anything. And we built and developed our first house off of YouTube and library books, joined our local RIA after listening to a podcast, and now I'm developing houses for other people. It's pretty amazing.
And that is 60 seconds on the nose.
Nice work.
Tell me she doesn't kill it at that.
I wonder if you get an extra 10 seconds for every decade older you are. So would I get 70 seconds? No?
I mean, you're close to 70. Yeah, that's about right.
That is hurtful, Ted. Ted's kind of an age discrimination kind of a guy, just FYI. And he's the old guy now, or he's 5 years older than you, and I'm 5 years older than him. So, and we're 5 years older than Aiden.
What?
But
Aiden's like 24.
Whatever. Same.
He just looks like he's 40.
Okay, first, man, where to unpack here? Let's start with hot dogs. On your Instagram or something that Ted sent me, you have hot dog lover, pet enthusiast, or something like that, and a couple other things on there. And I was like, oh man, this girl sounds fun. I want to talk to her. So tell us when did your infatuation with the nitrate filled meat sickle occur?
From a young age. I've just always loved hot dogs. Never had a hot dog I didn't like. If there's a hot dog festival or a hot dog cook-off, I'm there. Yeah, I'm there. I used to work about 1 mile from a hot dog king, and they had my order ready when I drove in the parking lot.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, here's a fun fact for you. When I want to say she was about 10 years old, I think was my oldest daughter, huge fan of hot dogs, right? And my wife actually is too. So she loves chili dogs for some reason. And it's a once in a while treat for her. We had for our family birthday party for my daughter, a hot dog bar where we had all these different types of, around the country, everybody kind of does things a little bit differently with how they dress up their hot dogs. And I love a good Chicago dog. And those are hard to find in Omaha where we are, which we're not that far from Chicago. So it's kind of surprising, but love me a good Chicago dog. Do you have a favorite? If you're going to dress up a hot dog, what are you throwing on there?
All right. Classic hot dog is sauerkraut, onions, chow chow, hot, spicy mustard. Done.
What is chow chow?
Yeah, I've never heard chow chow either.
Oh, chow chow is a pickled thing. It's like cabbage and zucchini, onions, and then they pickle it in a jar, and hopefully they put some spices in there to make it spicy. And then
I'm down. I gotta try this. I don't know. I've never found chow chow. Now I'm gonna activating system engaged. I'm gonna find this in the grocery store.
I don't know if you're gonna find it in your grocery store, but it's definitely here in North Carolina.
Yeah. Now, what borough of the big city did you live in when you grew up?
So I was born in Queens, lived a long time in the Bronx, and every time my parents got a little bit of money, we moved further and further away. So the third borough was Yonkers, and then eventually I moved to the first suburb of the city called Westchester County, and that's where I met my husband in high school.
All right, right on. And
high school sweethearts, huh?
Wow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Cool. And all right. So this is fun. All right. So you guys decided to escape the metropolis, go to Asheville. What was the connection to Asheville? Did you just pick a spot on the map and say that sounds cool?
Literally. We had just bought a S2000 convertible and we thought we were cool. We thought we were just so cool. They are really cool. And so we decided to do a road trip and we drove down to Asheville, North Carolina. We spent 24 hours. We had one beer and one sandwich, and we said, we're moving here. And we moved here about 2 months later.
I love it. Now, and the beer, before we started recording, you mentioned that was a big factor in your decision to move up, pack up and move there, right?
Yeah. Yeah. We live in, it was Beer City, USA, 3 years running when I moved here. We have 50 breweries in a 10-mile radius. So we drink some beer here.
All right, that's it. I'm family vacation. We're going to Asheville, so you're going to have to point me
in the right. Hot dogs.
North Carolina
is a hot dog bar.
Okay, I'll do that. I'll throw that in the carry-on. Okay, so man, you've got quite the story here. Now, I have some notes here. 2012. All right, so we're rolling back the clock. You're in massage school. You are a waitress, correct?
Yes, sir.
And newly married. So, 13 years ago? All right. So, what happened there? So, you were planning on being a masseuse, a massage therapist, and making some extra money by waiting tables. What was going on in your life at the time, other than those things?
So I've always wanted to be a massage therapist, first and foremost. We moved here also because there was a really wonderful massage school here. So, it was my life dream to be a massage therapist. I came down and we were making collectively maybe $50,000 a year, maybe $40,000 a year, which is not enough to buy a house, even in 2012. We just felt like the dream of home ownership was just too far away, just out of our reach. And so my husband, convinced me. I didn't believe him, but he said, let's build our own house. And from a fear mindset, I said, wait, we can't build our own house. The most we've done is build IKEA furniture at this point. What do you mean build a house?
Hey, I want to give you props. So IKEA furniture is not easy to assemble a lot of times. And I've done
He's had some IKEA stories on the podcast.
Yeah.
Many divorces have happened over an IKEA piece of furniture that I can't even pronounce. So I'm proud of that.
Do you have official stats on this, Jennifer, or are you making this up?
I can have my person look it up.
Please send us up. We put it in the show notes.
Now, aside from fixing technical difficulties on podcasts, what's your husband do for a living?
So my husband right now manages our portfolio, but at the time he was making $13.50 an hour doing IT work from home. So again, it was like, what are you talking about? Build a house. But he convinced me. He's pretty convincing. And so we bought property. We bought property the month that I graduated massage school. So it always stands out in my head as a combined thing. And then we proceeded to go through the steps. We worked really hard at, getting the property ready, teaching ourselves from YouTube and library books. Here in Asheville, North Carolina, you can do an owner builder permit, which I don't know if you could do that everywhere, But in Asheville, you can. You have to live in it for 2 years. You can't sell it. And it has to be your primary residence.
Okay. What did you pay for your first deal?
$10,000 for about a 1.5 acres, about 5 miles from downtown Asheville. It was a foreclosure.
$10,000?
That's amazing.
What? And this was an actual, like there was a house on the property?
It was a complete teardown. There were some ancillary buildings. There was a canning shed and a garage. All of it was torn. All of it needed to be torn down. This was family land that had been broken up and subdivided over the last, 100 years or so. And so, my neighbor down the hill, she used to live here, but it hadn't been habitated in about 10 years prior to me purchasing it.
Okay. So you're buying a total wreck and it's on a piece of land. So you've got you've got an acreage. Where did you live at this time?
So at first we lived in an apartment about a mile away. And then once the septic was in, we bought a camper and moved onto the property. So we didn't want to pay rent anymore. And we wanted to be here full time so that as soon as we punched out, we can start work. So we just worked and then we worked. Yeah.
Now that's funny. We have one of our, she comes in as a guest host sometimes on our podcast, and we know and love her, Megan Ahern, the Tatty Investor. She had a kind of a similar story where she came to Lincoln, Nebraska from California and stayed in a camper on property, and they did their first, or not their first house flip, but the first one in Lincoln there. So that's funny.
First several in there.
Yeah, you're kind of mimicking her story so far. But how did you demo the place? I'm just curious. Like, did you have equipment that you rented? Did you have a sledgehammer and determination, or what was the deal there?
We had a sledgehammer and determination. We kicked a roof apart. We just kicked things over. We had a dumpster. At some point, we did purchase an excavator, a track hoe. It was periwinkle. I loved it. It was $10,000. And, and now I kick myself for selling it. But at the time we needed to recoup some of our money. We were so broke. It was hot dogs and mac and cheese and rice and beans every other day. We were so broke, but we had a lot of determination.
Oh man, this is great. A periwinkle track hoe. Did you find that on Facebook Marketplace then?
At the time, it was not Facebook Marketplace. It was Craigslist, baby.
Craigslist. Nice.
Yeah.
It's still up.
Okay. Wow. All right. So yeah, demo is hard work, man. I still like demo in small doses. Like it's fun for about an hour, and then it's like you're sore and tired.
Have you ever demoed a whole house before?
No, not like that. No, that's why I brought that up, is because that had to be like quite the undertaking with two people, and like you didn't have any other workers. It was just you two.
I couldn't afford another worker, darling. It was just me and my husband, and honestly, we took out our rage. It was great. It was like a rage. Now the craze is the rage room. I had a rage property, baby.
This would be fun just to do. I think we should try to find a property where we can just bring some equipment in and play around and just demo it.
That would be fun. Yeah, especially if I had an elevator. I hate elevators, so I would love to demo an elevator myself.
So Jennifer, on that first property, what mistakes did you make, and what things would you have done differently?
So we did basically everything ourselves except for the licensed trade. But I even did the licensed trade stuff. I said, if I dig the trench, will you charge me half the cost? So the one thing that I tried to do myself that I will never, ever, ever do again is drywall.
Oh yeah,
I hate drywall.
Honestly, it's the worst. I like, you can tell me I would rather do toilets and deal with sewer lines than do drywall.
Any day of the week. And it's the finished product, so you really see it. And boy, it took me forever to do one section of a ceiling. And I looked at my husband, I said, babe, never again. Call somebody now. Call somebody right now.
The hardest part, I mean, it's one thing to hang it. I mean, you get exhausted hanging drywall, but it's another thing to finish it and make it look good. I do appreciate talented drywall finishers, because I've tried it, and like we're trying to get our house ready to sell, and I have done some patchwork and stuff like that. And I'm like, oh, this looks good. And I throw paint on it, and I'm like, oh my God, it's terrible. Like you can totally see it. Oh. So I have grown to appreciate talented finishers.
It's worth the money. It's worth the money. For me personally, I've put every roof on every house I've ever built. Me and my husband just belaying each other up there. But I will spend the money on drywall.
So, I mean, you guys ran your own plumbing, your own HVAC, everything? Like, you guys did it all?
I negotiated with every single licensed contractor. I said, what can I do to bring my costs down. So I ran the lines, we dug the ditches, we did everything.
Can you give us some ideas of things that you were able to do on your own that the contractors allowed? Like, were you running your own ductwork? Were you running some of the piping? Like, can you give us some, maybe some tips?
Yeah. So I did a slab on grade for my foundation. And so we built the formwork. So instead of having the pourers build the formwork and the finishers, we dug it with a shovel. And then we built the formwork ourselves. And then we had the concrete finishers come in and do it. So that saved us a lot of money. Before that, we dug again by hand all of the plumbing. So plumbing has to go inside of your slab on grade. You have to put it in there and then pour it. So we just had the plumber come out, mark things and give us our elevations. And then we dug it and we laid the pipe. And then he came and did the finishing. So those are some of the things we did. We did a mini split. So we, after the framing up of the walls and the insulation, we then ran the line, the condensation line, and then he just came and connected it. I could have done it, but we needed his license to pass inspection. So those are just some of the things. Like I said, I put a roof on every single one of my homes so far. It saves me literally 50%. So if a roof costs $5,000, it costs like $1,500 to $2,000 for the materials. Yeah.
Are you hiring any laborers to help you with the roof? Or are you guys literally like doing every aspect of that yourself?
Just the two of us. Yeah. We were 28. We just thought we could do it. We thought we were invincible. So yeah, we just did it all ourselves to the most max possible that the county would allow us to.
This podcast brought to you by OSHA. Okay, so let's maybe fast forward a bit. So you wrap up your YouTube University home build, and it's now done. What happened next?
Well, we had a moment where when we refinanced, so we did a construction loan for $100,000. We refinanced into a traditional mortgage, and the house appraised at like $300,000 or something like that. And we were just like, wait, did we just make $200,000 in equity? That's not a little sum of money. We had never made anything even close to that. Like I said, our combined 40 to 50. So we thought we were reinventing the wheel. We didn't know that other people were doing this. We had no idea. We were just living in our own little bubble. And so after that, we decided that we were going to start pursuing yet another dream of ours, which was travel. So we put our house up on Airbnb and traveled to a lot of countries. So we traveled for 4 months. We went to Thailand, Cambodia, Vietnam, Kuala Lumpur, Germany, and Italy.
Wow.
Yeah.
And just backpack the whole thing? Did you guys walk
the whole thing on a shoestring budget, $8 a night hostels, and just really hoofed it. I'll show you pictures later. We took a train going to the entire coast of Vietnam. And so I'm sleeping in a 3-berth thing with 4 families to a bed. And it's just like me and my husband on a twin size bed. We met, we just hoofed it. Yeah. We just followed whatever we could do. $8 meals, dollar bowls of pho on the street. It was awesome. It was incredible.
Did you guys do anything while you're there to make money? Like, were you guys
just rented our house on Airbnb? Yeah. We were making like $2,000 to $3,000 a month on the house. So that was just paying our mortgage and putting a little money in our pockets.
Man, were you ever like, why do we go back? I mean, you could have literally done that forever.
Every
probably.
day of my life.
Yeah. So postmortem on the 4-month excursion, what do you think you spent in total? Do you know that off the top of your head?
I know exactly how much I spent off the top of my head. We spent $9,000.
No way.
Yeah.
I don't think I could do that. I don't think I could go for a week and spend $9,000 is all.
Like, not you.
No, well, right.
Especially if you're going to Vegas.
Well, but I mean, like, if you're in your 20s, I would totally have done something like that. I wish I would have. But that is super, super cool.
Any crazy stories happened during this trip?
Yeah, like Thailand.
I can't say it on this podcast, but yes.
Okay, we'll do an offshoot one where we can tell stories.
We must.
Okay. But besides that, was there any great stuff you can tell us? Anybody you met or some experiences that are, radio worthy?
Yeah, we met people from all over the world. One time we were sitting at a bar. So in Hanoi, they have this thing called Bia Hoi, which literally means beer of the day. And they make this beer in the morning, and by 2:00, you drink it, and you have to drink it. It goes in the garbage at night, at the next day, because there's no preservatives in it. So beer was 5 cents a beer. Buy 10, get 2 free. So we are having a real good time. And
Real good time.
we're having a really good time. And there was this big Australian man. I also got these tattoos in Vietnam. Got a lot of cool hand tattoos in Vietnam. And they also gave me a keg of beer at the end of my tattoo, which was crazy. And they were like
a full-size keg?
And they were like, do not leave until you drink this beer. And I was like, we are 2 people. How can we drink a whole keg? They were serious about it, but that's a second story. So we're drinking Bia Hoy, and this Australian guy, big Australian guy, just loud, loving everything that he's saying. And there's these girls selling sweets on, like, hanging on their shoulders, a bar across their shoulders, little baskets at the end. And
I'm thinking of edible necklaces that people are wearing, not like
no, actual bar, like a stick with baskets on the end, and like sweets, local sweets. And he just looked at her and goes, "You're so pretty." And I go, "All right, guy, relax." And and he goes, "How much for he like, just wanted to hang out with her." And he said, "How much?" And she said a number. I don't remember what it was. And he bought all of her candy right then. And she hung out with us for the rest of the night. And for the rest of my stay there, every time this particular woman saw us, she would take us to a new secret place that we would have never gone to, not speaking the language. And she would order us this food. She'd go, two. And she would order, oh my God. It was amazing to meet that woman and to have that experience. And she was like our personal little tour guide. Spoke no English. Loved it.
Okay, so tip of the day, go out of the country, buy all the candy from the one girl, and she'll show you a good time, show you where you need to go.
Speakeasies in Vietnam. I love it. So I'm still blown away by the 5 cents for a beer. I mean, you could get hammered for like 50 cents. It's bananas.
And we did.
Yeah.
Okay, so you sobered up, came back to the States.
Yeah.
What happened next?
Well, we moved back into our home, and we were just reverse culture shock. It was just a moment of, what the hell are we doing? We realized we rented a room in our home on Airbnb to still continue that income. And my husband, we were talking about what we can do, how we can do this again. And something that we decided to do was build again. Obviously, it just made the most sense, but we didn't know how to do it. We didn't know how to get from where we are now to building again. We had all of our money. Any money we did have was gone, which wasn't much. And so Matthew started listening to Bigger Pockets podcast. And at the end of every Bigger Pockets podcast, it says, find your local RIA. And so we did. We found our local RIA, and our minds were absolutely blown wide open. In our first meeting, I found a mentor. She was up on a panel. She was an older woman in her 70s, and she was feisty. I'm feisty, and she was feistier, and I loved that. I walked right up to her, and I said, "Will you be my mother?"
Hug me.
And so after going to our local RIA for about 3 or 4 months, we came up with a plan. We're going to subdivide our land. So our original land was 1.5 acres. We are not using any of the other land. I'm from the city. I have a black thumb. I couldn't even grow a tree. I mean, we tried, but that's just not my skill set. So I've got all this land doing nothing. So with the help of RIA and, kind of workshopping that idea, we came up with subdividing our property and building a duplex. So my husband became a general contractor. Again, built the first house off of YouTube and library books, but the second house, he was a general contractor. At this point, COVID had hit, or COVID was starting to hit, and my massage business was coming to an end. So,
oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you can't socially distance doing massage. And so I also taught at the local massage school at this point. So the school shut down, my business shut down. I was also running a corporate massage business where I was doing chair massages at corporate events. Nobody was doing retreats anymore. So it's just, I watched my business just kind of die. And at this point, I transitioned to being a project manager for the duplex build. So we borrowed $250,000 short-term money. I built the duplex in 6 months from beginning to end. Now, I have to toot our horn for a minute because we dug our own septic. So in North Carolina, when you're the GC on the permit, you can install your own septic. I don't know about anywhere else, but here you can. So my husband's the GC on the project, and he says, how hard could it be? Poop rolls downhill. So, so we did that. So here I am in the ditch, just, my husband's in a machine, and I've got my little elevation thing, and it's beeping in my ear. I hear that beep in my nightmares. But yeah, so we built we did our own septic, we built the foundation. And at this point now we are building custom homes for other clients. So at this point I started.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So at this point I built for another real estate developer, literally a half a mile away. And then I was we were building a custom home for a doctor and a lawyer about 30 minutes away. So at this point I started hiring crews.
Did you find that developer at the RIA that you joined?
I found the developer. My bank was having a septic, a septic thing, a conversation, a coffee and septic conversation, which goes together really well. That's a poop joke.
Yeah.
That's a poop joke. Anyway, so I met him there, and he bought this property really real adjacent to mine. I love something in my neighborhood and in my area. I like to not travel too far. That way I can work harder on it. If it's 45 minutes away, it's a chore to get there. And so, yeah, so that was really, advantageous for us to do that. And at this point I started to hire crews, because I couldn't do all three, just me and Matt. So we started hiring crews, and I still put the roof on, but we hired crews. We did the siding. We didn't do the framing. We didn't do the foundation. We definitely didn't do the drywall. And so, so I started hiring crews and started building that skill set of project management.
Okay, so it's one thing to say, I built my own house, which just seems completely crazy. Do it off YouTube, as everybody listening to this is thinking that in their head. But the first thing that's going through my head is you're taking on luxury builds now, with very, very little, experience in history at this point. That had to have been a little nerve-wracking for everybody. How do you just jump into something of that scale? You just surround yourself with people that have a lot more knowledge. You're going to other people that are in building in your RIA group. How do you mentally prepare yourself for such a big step so quickly?
So to be perfectly frank, I'm married to a genius. He's just really, really smart. And so what happened was, as we were building things and we started asking questions of people, we realized that they don't even understand the concept behind what they're doing. They're just doing it. They're just taking hammer to nail without understanding the actual concepts behind why do we do this and what are we doing. So it's something that their dad taught them, when they were a kid, and they've always been in building. My husband he's just a genius. He understands the full concept, and he loves building science. He didn't know that, but he fell in love with it after the fact. So it just so happens that everybody we talked to, we somehow knew more than them. And that was a realization. That was just it's like reverse imposter syndrome. We had imposter syndrome, and we're like, could you tell us, why do you do this like this? And they were like, that's the way my daddy told me. And we were like, well, we know more than that. We know more than that. So it was just
scary. It's scary to hear, isn't it?
Yeah. Building codes are around for a reason, I think, is the message here. But okay. So now you're cranking out luxury homes for doctors, and now is there a follow up to your "Are You My Mother" story with the RIA owner? Did you what's your involvement with the local investor group there?
I literally call her Mama Money. She is just an incredible human being. I see her 6 times a month. I've got a loan out with her right now. I borrow all my money from her. I run, so now I'm the secretary of the board of my local RIA. She's the vice president. My RIA has been active for 35 years. She's been in it for 33 years.
Wow.
Yeah. She is a pillar in our community. I don't do anything without running it by her.
That's like Owen over here.
What?
He was a founding member of our RIA.
I wasn't the founding
You're
member.
one of the founding members.
I was one of like 5 dudes that used to meet at an Olive Garden and talk about real estate. I didn't even know what I was doing. And then it grew, and now Ted owns it, which is kind of crazy. But you're okay. So I think you're in line then to be the heir apparent to the RIA ownership. It sounds like you've kind of like positioned yourself pretty well to be the princess, soon to be the queen of the Asheville RIA. Is that what you're thinking?
When Mama retires?
Yeah.
When Mama Money retires, I don't know what I'm going to do. It's really important to me to stay involved in my RIA. I have many mentees underneath me now. I run a subgroup meeting called Newby for Newbies. It's a play on my last name, and I love playing on my last name. Have fun with it. To toot my horn again, we have the largest attendance of all of our subgroup. We're 400 strong in my RIA. About 150 actively come to the main meeting, and I always have 30 to 40 people at my subgroup. So,
that's great. Now, is your subgroup a monthly thing, or do you and what time of day do you meet?
Yeah, so we meet at a local bar from 6 to 8 p.m., usually the 4th Thursday of the month. This month it's the 5th Thursday because I got my dates confused. But I always try to keep it engaging. I always keep it real, obviously, as you can tell. I don't like to talk in ethereal things like I bought this house for 3 raspberries. I use real numbers. I use my builds always as an example. So I pull up the GIS, I pull up my numbers, I pull up my spreadsheet, and I just try to be authentic, which I think really attracts people to my subgroup.
Yeah. And, Ted and I both have experience in kind of starting and running little, meetup groups. And Ted's has grown to be a similar size to what the one in Asheville is. He has probably, almost 500 members?
We're 440.
440. Yeah. And then, probably 120-ish.
We don't do subgroups, and I really want to learn more about your subgroups because that's something we need to explore.
Yeah. And so I'm going to take some liberty here and kind of dig into that for a second. On the subgroup thing, so let's say I'm a real estate investor, and maybe there isn't a local RIA, or the one that is established isn't really the format that I like, and I want to start my own. What tips would you have for somebody that is, wanting to connect with other folks that are like-minded and kind of, start your own thing?
Yeah, so we have a couple of different, in the area, there's a couple of different meetups or associations or groups. I suggest going to them all. I suggest going to them all for one whole year. Because they do different things. I like to take what I like and throw away what I don't like. These types of things are all, you can take what you want. I've used the 60 seconds that we learned at the National RIA Summit. I've used it so many times in the last month. And that's what we're here for. We're here to share. So I would go to everything for at least 1 year and take what you like and throw away the rest, and then make your own thing. I think it's important to get your keywords. Like, one of my keywords is authentic. One of my keywords is relentless. I am relentless. Another one of my keywords is optimistic. So I just like to keep those things as your North Star. Know what you want to present, what you want to show the world, and how you want to show up in the world. And then just let that be your North Star, really.
Now, do you have guest speakers, or do you kind of run the show there and you go topical and dig into stuff, or what's the format there?
Yeah, so I switch it up all the time. So last month I had 3 speakers. We had a wonderful turnout. I had 2 lawyers and 2 tax CPAs. I call her the tax doctor because she has a doctorate in taxes. So I find that sometimes when you have a speaker, when you're talking about partnerships, LLCs, business structures and stuff, and you have one speaker, it's usually the lawyer or the CPA. And each one of them says, well, I can only speak from here to here, talk to a CPA about from here to here. And that's always really frustrating because I'm not getting the full picture. So I went really to the wall and relentlessly went after these people to get them in the same room at the same time. That was my last month. And then this month, so if you don't know, we suffered a big hurricane last year, Hurricane Helene. And we had a lot of crazy crazy damage here in Asheville. So this month, it's 1 year after the hurricane. So this month I'm having the local Buncombe County planner, but he also happens to be a certified floodplain manager. So he's going to come and speak next Thursday. This isn't all the time. I try to switch it up. I mean, who wants to hear me talk every single month, you know? So I try to switch it up. But yeah, a lot of times I talk. Sometimes I'll have my husband talk. Sometimes it's an open dialogue. So I try to switch up the format. And I think that's, again, what keeps people coming.
I like that. And I have a little coffee meetup that I do too. And I like to switch things up a little bit. We do it actually weekly. But you know, I do want to ask, okay, so you did not follow the traditional path that a lot of real estate investors get involved in, which is typically going to be, you know, start with single family, maybe they do some flips, wholesaling, rentals, they get a little bit more experience and their feet under them, then they switch to multifamily and then kind of into commercial. That's kind of the general progression, not always, but a lot of times. Mm-hmm. You dove right into development, and not just development, but you, like, your very first deal was more or less a developed property.
Yep.
And like, I know you were doing that operating with knowledge you got from your own sources. Would you advise somebody that has always wanted to be a developer? Because, and here's where I'm going with this. I thought developing was really cool, but I didn't think I would ever really get involved with it because it was so, like, daunting. It's just like the master level of, you know, real estate, right? And it's really not what you think it is, but there are a lot of moving parts to it, especially when you have different crews that you're managing. You have to do, you know, more of a real project manager role than just, hey, show up, nail this, shoot trim here, paint the walls. That's not really project management. You have to have pro formas and timelines, and, like, you know, there's a whole waterfall thing that happens with your Gantt chart and all that. Like, how did you learn skills to help you become more adept at developing properties, not just for yourself, but with other, you know, customers?
Yeah. Well, I just did it. I just taught myself Gantt charts. I taught myself modeling. I started a job that I had in the very, very, very beginning, which we didn't touch on. And I worked at Home Depot designing kitchens for a little while.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
Just taught myself how to model, how to 3D model and things like that. And then you sell a project and then you see it through to the end. And that's just a small portion, right? That's just kitchen design. So I taught myself, and I was able to do that and get paid. I mean, I wasn't getting paid a lot. I was getting paid like $15 an hour, but I was getting paid to learn instead of having to pay to learn something. So that's a huge thing I tell people all the time is, like, new people. I tell them, go get a job at Home Depot or Lowe's. If you don't know screw sizes or materials, go get a job at Home Depot or Lowe's. They'll teach it to you. And I strongly believe in that. And I've had so many of my mentees go and get a job at my local Home Depot. Home Depot loves me because I always send them people to work.
That's hilarious to say that, because I don't know how many times I told somebody to go work for a property manager to learn, you know, how to run a rental, but I've never even crossed my mind to say, hey, we'll go work at Home Depot and learn how to, you know, manage a construction project or do a bathroom remodel.
You meet a lot of local contractors. You get to learn about their projects as well. And like I said, they teach you about each area. So, like, you have a Home Depot and Lowe's gives you tests on electrical and things like that. So I found that to be really useful and helpful. Again, this was many, many years ago. I'm pretty sure they're still doing it. My mentees tell me they're still doing it. So yeah, so that's how I started. And then I became an assistant to a project manager. So I was managing my own projects, but then I wanted to learn more, right? I wanted to do more. So in my career, I became the assistant project manager under somebody else. And again, there I am getting paid to learn on the job.
Yeah. Okay. Now, have you ever read the book Who Not How?
I have not. I'm going to write it down, though.
Great book. And the reason I asked that is, I mean, obviously you started from, you know, very little financially and had to figure it out, right? So you bought a super, super cheap house, taught yourself how to basically bring it out of the ground and get it vertical, had some real success with refinancing that deal, leveraged that success into other deals, and then just kind of like the snowball effect happened. But have you transitioned in the 13 years since you started, you know, doing this? Have you transitioned into more of a, I know who to hire for this, or do you still get up and nail shingles? Like, are you fully out of the DIY, or do you still do it?
I'm fully out of the DIY for the most part.
Except roofs.
Roofs, I do them. I also do septics. The way I got to where I am is sweat equity. I couldn't afford to pay anybody else, so I had to put that sweat in. So recently, like you had said, my path is not the normal, typical one, but I'm kind of rounding the corner on that one. We bought our first commercial property. It's a 24-unit storage facility. It's 3/4 of a mile from my home, but I'm taking a page out of my old playbook and I'm subdividing and building duplexes behind it.
Oh, no kidding. Okay. That's cool.
Yeah.
And with an HOA that says you can't keep anything in the driveway.
Yeah. No HOAs. I hate them. They're the bane of my existence. That's the one thing I love about living in Buncombe County in North Carolina. We're pretty open use. We're pretty zoned open use. So it's really useful.
A strong HOA feeds your storage unit. So.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, you put provisions in there that says, no, you can't park a boat here. You can't put anything in your yard. So they're like, well, what do we do with this? And then you're like, here's my sign right outside of the cul-de-sac that's like, here, self-storage this way.
The most genius thing I ever seen was there's some new areas being built, and they're planning a storage unit for every so many miles because their HOAs don't allow anything to stay in a driveway for more than 24 hours. And so they actually plan the storage units into the neighborhood builds.
Yeah.
Because it feeds right into there.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Yeah, I've never really considered that angle. Okay, so here's a question for you. This is a little bit of a kind of a deep thought. You have done a lot. You've transitioned now into getting more involved in bigger commercial type projects, still doing ground up development with the duplex little area that you're putting behind the storage. Mm-hmm. Are you guys good? Like if you wanted to just say, hey, you know what? I'm out. We're going to go travel for a year. Could you do that right now?
I absolutely could. It's just, I'm very goal oriented. So I have a goal. Yeah. And my goal is $200,000 a year passive income, which is a very attainable goal. It's not that far. It's within my reach. And so once I reach that goal, then that might be something that I do, but I am goal oriented. I like to work backwards, right? I don't like to spin aimlessly. So, yes, I could absolutely do that right now. I could sell all of this, cash out, and live very comfortably for the rest of my life. I'm very, low maintenance, as you can tell.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it comes through with, I mean, you've used the word relentless, you've used the word optimistic, and you had a few others that you sprinkled in there that were kind of key phrases or words that you really, that really speak to you. Mm-hmm. And it obviously comes through in your personality and your goal setting. But do you think that has anything to do with you coming from pretty humble beginnings and not having much of a safety net with regard to finances? Absolutely.
100%. A true story is that, and I think that as a millennial, we have a very unique place to be. We have a unique moment in time where we had to learn how to do everything manually, and then technology came. So I remember writing book reports on a typewriter. We couldn't afford a computer. Computers came when I think my first computer in the home, I was 16 years old. So I was writing book reports on a typewriter until computers came to school. And then from there, then I got a computer in the house. So I think for lack of a better term, I kind of bootstrapped my way into life and into this life. And we learned how to write checks in school. I don't think I've seen a Gen Z write a check ever, balancing checkbooks. So yeah, I remember when my teacher said, you're not going to have a calculator in your pocket your life. Like, yes, I am. They didn't know that, and neither did I.
I have a business partner that calls me boomer because I still write checks to contractors and stuff that
all my contractors all get checks.
Yeah. So, and I don't understand how he does it.
In our last interview, said never write a check.
Yeah, and I'm like, how do you pay somebody that shows up and they want paid right then? You can't be like, oh, what's your Venmo? Like that's not a thing, or maybe it is, and I'm just missing it. But
my tax doctor would hate me if I paid everybody through Venmo.
Oh yeah.
Well, I had Isaac Newton fix a plumbing issue for me this week.
That's his real name, by the way. He's a local plumber here. Good dude.
And he wanted Venmo payment.
Oh, really?
And I created a Venmo payment just for my property's business account.
Okay.
So that is there now, but it made me laugh because it made me think about the whole check thing. You know David Pickron, right?
I do.
Yeah, so we had him on. He's like, don't ever write a check ever again. He goes, all the information on your check can now hack all your accounts.
Oh no, don't tell me that. Technology moves so fast.
That's what he said. He said, do not ever write a check again. I probably wrote like 6 or 7 this week.
Wow. Just curious, has AI come into the fold at all in your investing business?
100%.
How do you use it? Yeah, tell us your kind of like what you utilize it for and what's changed.
Well, I use AI for everything. I like to tell people I don't use my brain anymore. AI does it. But I do. You can't let AI do everything because it's not a human being. You have to train AI to be you, right? Mm-hmm. So all of my emails are written via AI, but I created a persona. That is my persona. So I wrote it, I sent it a bunch of different emails that I wrote myself. I said, I'd like you to sound like this. I want to name it Jen's persona. And then I kept tweaking it. No, you're being too wordy. You're being too descriptive. Make it more concise, make it more professional. And I've got it down now where it sounds like me. And so if I'm going to write an email, I go to that conversation and I write, please write an email to this person using Jen's persona. And I need it to say like this. And it's the best when I'm angry. Because when I'm angry and I want to send an angry email and I want to go, you idiot, you don't know what you're talking about. And AI goes, I think you're mistaken.
Nice. Yeah. So they clean it up a little bit, make it more presentable.
Yeah.
There's AI email systems that are now created. Are you guys using that, or are you just doing this through like a chat GPT?
I do it through Copilot and through Gemini. Gemini's gotten really good in the last couple of months. And I use DeepSeek for any math. So I find that a lot of the word AIs are not good with math, is my experience, but DeepSeek is really good with math. So each AI tool has a case use, in my opinion. So far, I'm not the best at it. Like I said, I'm a little old school, but I am using it a lot every single day. And I also have clients. So I have a lot of clients that I project manage for right now. And so I send summary reports to all of my subcontractors. So, this is happening this week, this is happening next week. And it puts it in a really concise, full thing for me. I write summaries every week for all of my clients. Yeah, it's really helpful. Super helpful.
I had to ask AI what a Gantt chart is because I didn't know.
Gantt
chart is a visual project management tool that shows tasks.
This is idiocracy
laid out
in real life here.
I didn't know what a Gantt chart is. I've never used one.
I've never been to the moon, but I know it exists. I mean, it doesn't mean you have to
I guarantee you that more than half people listening right now don't know what a Gantt chart is.
Oh, Ted.
Well, tell them, Ted. Tell them what a Gantt chart is. What did AI tell you?
A Gantt chart is a visual project management tool that shows tasks laid out over time. Think of it as a calendar meets a to-do list, but for big projects.
There you go. You heard it here first. Out of Ted's mouth from ChatGPT.
Yeah, I didn't know.
Okay. So no, that's really interesting.
See how mean he is? You know how mean he used to be to me just because I use ChatGPT? Every day for probably 100 episodes, I got made fun of. This guy lives by it now and then brings ChatGPT
I don't
sheets.
live by it.
Oh, yes, you do.
I run it by.
Yes, you do.
No, I don't.
Oh, you went from like total like, oh yeah, I don't use that stuff, and then make fun of me.
Ted doesn't know how to tie his shoes without running it by ChatGPT. He literally talked to ChatGPT for 80 hours. 80. At one shot, like not straight, but he's writing a book. So he sat there and talked to ChatGPT for 80 hours.
And it used up 80% of my battery this morning creating the chapters.
You see what I'm dealing with? Okay, so this is what's left unsaid.
I'm not a writer, but I got story to tell, so I got to get it out.
Absolutely.
Well, Jen, talk about like a real rags to riches story that you've really created here. But at one point, you were going day to day, check by check, right?
Yeah.
And then today you've really created a life of freedom. So what defines success today to you?
For me, it's being a pillar in my community. I am somebody that a lot of people come to, not just for questions and, what's a Gantt chart and how do I get my septic license? But people come to me just for encouragement. I'm everybody's cheerleader, and that's really important to me, to be there for my community and to just show up. I always show up, and I'm always there to celebrate your wins and to pick you up for your losses. And that's just really important to me, that so many people come to me for that. That's just super important to me.
So When you look at what you're doing right now, I know you just got the storage units, but you guys still doing building, new construction,
Yeah.
and what's really exciting about that right now?
I don't think there'll ever not be something exciting about that. For me, I am creating housing from essentially nothing, right? There are very few people that do that in my local area. My local area is filled with just buying and selling and rehabbing, and I am creating new housing. There is a 2 million deficit of housing in the country. They're not making any more land. And so I'm able to take land and create housing. That's just so exciting.
Are you guys building still for yourself, where you're building, holding, creating rentals, or is this just for other people now?
So I project manage for some other clients. Right now I'm project managing for affordable housing in our area, but I do a lot of building for myself. So that's the big goal.
And in the end, what's your portfolio look like now?
I have a really interesting portfolio. I own a duplex, a single family, and I have 3 spots that I rent to tiny houses. So I love the tiny houses because it's cash flow. The rest of it is like equity builds, but the tiny houses is all cash flow. So I love that. And then I have the storage facility, and I've got like one other property that I'm starting to develop. Also, everything is 1 mile from my house. Everything that I own is 1 mile from my house.
Hey, I'm curious on the tiny home thing.
Yeah.
So you had a piece of land, and what does that look like? You bring in electrical, you dig a septic, you hook up the plumbing supply, and you have a concrete slab. Is that basically what you have to do to prep it for that?
No, I don't even have a concrete slab. I just show it to people. I go, you want to put it there? Go for it. So we dug our own septics for that too. I put in a building permit in order to get the septic and in order to get the electrical pole and in order to get those infrastructures in place. And then I just never built the house. I created a pad with just dirt and gravel. And I've had this guy up here living in a tiny house, his tiny house. So I have a couple different models, right? So I have this guy who's been living on my property for 5 years. He pays me $800 a month, all utilities included. So that's his tiny house. Then I bought a tiny house from a local person who was building tiny houses. I just didn't want to build a tiny house. It's hard to build in 100 square feet. So I bought a beautiful custom tiny home, and I rent that for $1,400 a month. And I usually do that for, yeah. So I do that I do that midterm. So I've had somebody in there now, the same person in there for 4 months. But before that person was there for 6 months. And then I have another spot that I rent, and then they bring their own tiny house to that one too. So 2 tiny house spots and 1 actual tiny home that I own.
What does one of those cost? Like the custom one that you bought, what is that off the shelf?
It depends on how big and small they are. The one that I have right now costs us $80,000, and it's beautiful. This guy that built it was a custom cabinet maker. He made the stained glass in all of the windows. And his wife in her backyard kiln did all the steel work. So it is gorgeous. I have to say it's beautiful. So it's really pretty.
Do you have any pictures online or video of that online? The finished product after you got it?
I don't, but I will put it on there now. Let me write it on my to-do list.
Yeah, because that'd be really cool to link to that in the show notes.
Put it on your Instagram, and then we'll share your Instagram.
I've heard so many people, since tiny homes became kind of a thing, I've heard so many people talk about wanting to develop a little, tiny home community, or maybe put one in ADU or something like that. But I've never seen one in Omaha.
You know Angela in our real estate office?
Yeah.
She's building 3 of them. They just got dropped this week.
Oh, is that right?
And then in a small town, Iowa, and the city gave her 5 more lots for no charge to keep building them.
That's
really
awesome. That's awesome.
And there's a group out of York, Nebraska. I think they're called Champion Homes.
I've talked to the manufacturer,
and they're the ones building them and delivering them.
Interesting.
That's awesome.
That is really cool. We have to. I'd like to talk to her about that. Super cool. Okay, you've done a lot of different stuff. This is so neat. Yeah. I would guess. Do you get bored easily? Like doing the same thing over and over and over again? You kind of like to try new things? Is that a little bit of your...
I just like to diversify. When originally all I had was an Airbnb, and then that kind of went poof with COVID for a little while there, and I felt it. And I said, never again. So I just like to diversify my portfolio and have a lot of different ways that I can pivot. So originally the tiny house that I bought was going to be a short-term rental. And then I changed it to a midterm rental. And I was like, well, that's the best of both worlds. It's the best of a long-term lease and a short-term rental. So I really fallen in love with the midterm model. So yeah, I'm just all about that cash, baby, the almighty dollar.
Yeah. Now on the midterms, do you use like Furnish Finder, or what's your method for attracting tenants?
I do.
Yeah.
I use Furnish Finder. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. It works so well. I get probably 15 hits a week on Furnish Finder, even till this day. Like right now, I get 15 hits a week. So yeah.
We have 3 while we're on the podcast here.
It's crazy.
We had, what was that? Probably, I don't know, 10, 15 episodes ago, we had Jeff Hurst on, who's the CEO of Furnish Finder. Really interesting episode. Being that you're kind of involved in this, he had really cool takes on things, and he talked a lot about the return on furniture instead of the ROI, because you're, basically
ROF.
that's kind of what you're recouping. Yeah, your return, ROF. So yeah, I might want to check that out. Anybody catching this episode that hasn't heard that one yet, it was a really good one.
I will.
Man, this is so cool. You have done so much cool stuff. It's like a dartboard. Like you throw it and you hit a different number, and you've probably done it in some way, shape, or form.
That was 30 episodes ago.
30?
Yeah, 230.
Jeez.
Can't believe that.
Time flies. Man, this is so amazing. I can see why Ted was so enthusiastic about getting you on the show here.
I had no idea Jennifer did all this stuff.
Yeah.
I knew she's doing new construction, and you mentioned the tiny homes at one point, but all this stuff was a surprise. And when you sent me, like, because I couldn't find anything on you online, and then you sent me the bio, I'm like, this is awesome. I thought we were just going to have a fun conversation. I didn't know you were doing all this extra stuff, which, I'm not surprised, but yeah. And I knew you were going to bring some goofiness to it, so that makes it even funner.
Oh, thank you, y'all. Yeah, it's nice sharing the story. I usually just kind of live behind the desk, behind my computer, out on the job site. I don't really have a lot of time because I'm doing so much to really advertise the things that I do. But this podcast is making me think maybe I need to get out there a little bit more and advertise myself as the badass that I really am.
Yeah, there you go. I love it.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of badassery, we have a section in our podcast that we call
Failing Forward.
Everything you've talked about sounds awesome, but surely you've got something that hasn't gone exactly according to your Gantt chart in your recent history here. You got anything that maybe didn't go swimmingly, and then you learned a few lessons along the way?
Yeah. So around the corner from me, like I like to keep it, is a HOA housing development. And we were in negotiations to buy 5 lots and develop 5 lots. This is a very rich neighborhood. Houses sell for about $800,000 to $1 million. And I was really excited about it. I was going to build my first spec house. So all 5 of these were going to be spec homes. And I have never built a spec home before, right? I always have a very clear and direct path forward, and I'm usually the end user, or I'm working with the end user. So this was a big undertaking, and I spent probably maybe $5,000 or $6,000 developing the plan, developing the houses, developing the site plan. I like to do takeoffs. So I create these like very large, very intense spreadsheets of takeoffs so that I know exactly how many screws I'm going to need, exactly how many pieces of sheathing I'll need, exactly how many rafters I'll need for that home, a particular model. So I put a lot of effort into this. And it never happened. I was talked out of it. I started to get a little scared about building a spec house, about putting myself out there with so much money. It was going to be, probably about $2 million to build all 5. I was set to make about, $3 million approximately, but I got really scared, and I operated from that fear mindset, and I backed off of it. I am now looking at it again. They have not sold, and I've already invested the $5,000. So this was probably like 2 years ago, and I'm just watching it not do anything. And so now I'm thinking about taking it off into little pieces. And instead of doing all 5, I'm thinking about doing the easier 2 right now and financing those. And then maybe when I sell, maybe going to the upper 3 lots. So I hope to be coming to you and telling you that I've made $3 million on that project in the next year and a half.
That's life-changing money right there.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Big time.
Yeah, you're going to be traveling 40 months instead of 4 after that one. Got to give yourself a little reward, maybe an extra special hot dog or two.
Jennifer's gonna go travel, and Matt's gonna be like, "I gotta sit here and build these houses. What's going on here?" She's gonna be like zooming in.
He couldn't build anything without me. Let me tell you, that boy is scattered. I love him. He's a genius, but he can't.
You're a team. You're a team. You both have your
100%.
different. Yeah. Yep. You guys both got your things you're bringing in. Before we move to the next section, what exactly does your team look like between the two of you?
The team is, he always says he's a bulldozer and he just needs someone to drive the bulldozer. So I am the driver. I am the one that does all of the permitting. I do all the negotiations for our subcontractors. So Matthew is not that person. He is a builder in his head and in his heart. So he's on the site every single day. He's a perfectionist, so he likes things to be a certain way. And I'm just a get it done kind of girl. I don't care, just get it done. And you need both of those things. So I run the back end, I run the Gantt chart, I tell him what needs to get done next. I do all of the scheduling. I'm the one that tells him who's going to be on site today. And then he does the builds. So he's on the job site every day. I prefer that he doesn't swing a hammer, but you can't stop that boy. He loves to get a little dirty and get some sawdust on him. I wish he would just, kind of do a little bit more supervision. We're getting older, we're not as invincible as we thought we were. So that's how that works.
How do you guys balance work life, family life? I know it's you guys, but how do you guys balance that between your guys' time and work time and separating it? Do you guys like say, hey, we can't talk about work at this time, or are the conversations always about work?
The conversations aren't always about work. We have a lot of varied interests. We do a lot of alone time, which is really important, especially when you work together. So every night around 8:00, it's like, bye, baby, I love ya. And he goes and does what he has to do, which is usually play video games, or he likes watching like cop videos. I can't do it. And I go and I make myself a cup of tea and I read my book, and I go thrifting and things like that. The conversation isn't always about real estate or our projects, but we're always thinking about it in the back of our head. So if one of us comes up and goes, "Oh, I have an idea," I put the book down and I tell me all about it. It's a passion. We love building new. We just love it.
Okay, last question I have. When Matt needs a massage, does he get it from you, or does he have to go to a masseuse?
That's a great question. I was actually I was wondering that earlier.
He comes to me and I go to somebody else because he is all muscle, just no finesse. So he comes to me and I go to, I taught massage for a long time. So I go to one of my students, one of my past students. Lucky him, right?
It is lucky.
All right. Well, this has been so much fun. We do have one more section where we're going to pull some deep thinking stuff out of
maybe
you.
some tears.
Oh, maybe. I don't know. She doesn't seem very tearful today. She's very chipper. Her morning has been evidently better than yours. But we have one last section that we call the OT with Owen and Ted, where we've got 5 questions we're going to fire at you, and we're going to take turns here. And the first one I've got is, it's book writing time. You probably have, with all of your experience in life and business, traveling, all the stuff you've done, you've probably got something you've been thinking about for a while that would be a cool story to tell. If you were going to write a book, what would the title be or topic?
The title would be Burr, It's Warm in Here, which I really like. So the traditional Burr method is buy, rehab, rent, and refinance and repeat. And I do build, rent, refinance, and repeat. And I think that's just so hot. I think it's so cool. As I've said before, it just really excites me. So I think I would do Burr, It's Warm in Here.
I feel like every single time we have somebody on the podcast, I want to do what they do. And I really want to build something right now.
I get pumped up.
I'm like, I think I could do this. I feel like I built new houses with the condemned properties I've redone.
Probably be easier for you to build.
Yeah, because I've taken properties that have been vacant for 7 years and gone through and redone them. But you never know what surprise you're still going to find after you get all done.
Honestly, it's a set of checklists, and really the biggest difference between doing a gigantic rehab like you've done and building from scratch is just getting it entitled and permitted, and then bringing the utilities in, and then beyond that, it's just like your foundation, and then you're basically at the same spot, right?
And there's no surprises. The thing that I love, that I like to talk to people like you about, is I say, my spreadsheet looks the same. the beginning of the project to the end of the project. There is no surprises. With what you're doing, there's a surprise. You don't know what you're going to find behind that. And I don't like surprises. So you should do it. You can totally do it, Ted. I have faith in you.
And I think if I did it, I would probably just buy a house that's condemned, that is unrepairable, bulldoze it, already have the utilities in the ground.
Absolutely. That's a great way to start.
Fly Jennifer in with her sledgehammer and just go to town.
Yeah. Like, okay, Jennifer, help me out. Give me step by step.
Rage house.
Okay, so it's your podcast. You can interview anyone in the world today. It doesn't have to be real estate related, is what I should say. And you can ask one question. So who is it? And if you get one question answered, what would it be?
This is a good one. So my podcast would be called Newby for Newbies. I love playing off of my last name. I don't think there's enough people out there that are being realistic to new people. And this is going to sound really cheesy, but I'd interview my husband. I think that he just has a lot to offer. I know everything about him. So I don't know. I just would kind of give him the opportunity to share his passion of building. Yeah, I'd interview him.
We've never had that. We've never had anybody say their spouse or anybody in their inner circle. That I think it's a great one. And the fact that you guys are business partners, and I think you guys could give a lot to the world. I mean, I would listen to it, especially if I'm going to get a new project going. So yeah, Jennifer gave us a newbie answer that we've never had before.
I think it's only because he's in the next room and could probably hear this conversation.
He's actually glaring at her right now. Yeah, he's like, you better mention me.
No, okay. I watched him leave. He's gone.
All right. So next question for you. All right. Sad times. We're at your funeral. Somebody is going to be talking about your life. What legacy do you hope to leave behind? And if you had somebody that you thought might walk up and give your speech, who would it be?
So hopefully in this hypothetical situation, I hope I die before my husband. So I would have him write it. And again, something that I really want to leave in this world is my authenticity and my ability to be your real estate cheerleader, your life cheerleader, your goal cheerleader. I hope that that's what people see and hear from me. I've heard it mimicked back to me from my mentees and from some of the people in my subgroup, and I'm very reliable. So I think that that's something that will be said about me many, many times.
Love it.
Okay, so I want you to think about this, okay?
Okay.
The biggest mentor in your life, the person that changed your life, dead or alive, at any point, if you can speak to them directly right now, first off, who is it? And what would you say to them right now if they're listening?
It's Mama Money. I talked about her earlier. She's now 80. She is feistier than ever. And I thank her all the time, but I would thank her again 1,000% for just being there for me. She is my greatest cheerleader. Every time I do a conversation or I do a panel or I do a presentation, she comes at the end of it, she whispers in my ear and she says, I am so proud of you. Just that alone. I mean, granted, she loans me money. I wish she'd loan it to me a little cheaper, but she loans me money. She's there to support me at every one of my real estate ventures. But the biggest thing that she gives me is that whisper in my ear. And I always say, I couldn't do it without you. And her response is, yes, you could have. And you would have. You could do it easier with me, but you were going to do it regardless. And I'm just like, it means the world to me. And I might cry just talking and thinking about her. She's just an incredible person. And I'm so grateful that she took me under her wing.
When I was going to ask that question, I was just going to say, what would you say to Mama Money directly? Because I knew that was going to be your response.
Yeah, for sure.
Great. All right, we've got one more question and we'll get you out of here. Are you looking for anything in your business or life right now where somebody catching this might be able to hook you up? Or if not, is there a good way to reach you in that you were a digital ghost in the podcast space before today?
The way to find me is on my Instagram right now. It's jet.lag.jen. I like to travel. I also can be found on our Korea Instagram. That's CREIA_WNC. So we are the Carolina Real Estate Investors Association. And something that people can give me right now, or something that I'd love to have, is just more of this. It's hard to look at yourself in the mirror. There's a little bit of imposter syndrome when you look at yourself in the mirror and go, am I a badass? But I'd like to.
You are a badass.
Thanks, guys. So I'd like to do more of this. I'd like to get more involved in sharing my story and being able to reach a wider network so that I can cheerlead for more people and get more people excited about building new construction. And that it's totally doable. You could totally do it. So yeah, I'd love to do more things like this and get my story out there, and maybe I'll write a book.
Developing for newbies, and I think you should start a YouTube channel with that handle and then do a day in the life of a developer, a female developer especially. I think that's that is an underserved area, right? Because you don't see all that many. Yeah, there's 95% probably male dominated field, and I think it's kick ass that. Yeah, but if you had that, I think YouTube following would be awesome, and doing a day in the life of, because I like talking to developers. My involvement in development and redevelopment has been, a little bit. I haven't done everything like you have. I certainly haven't dug a septic before, but I think it'd be super cool, like to showcase basically the DIY knowledge that you developed over the years, seeing you on on heavy equipment and stuff like that. I think you would get a really fast following.
Demoing a house out. That would
yeah. You should totally do it. Just hire your husband, bring the camera around, turn it sideways, and have him film all of the day-to-day
turn
activities.
It sideways.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys. This was really enlightening, and I learned a lot about myself actually during this podcast. So thank you so much for inviting me on it and asking me those really wonderful, thought-provoking questions.
Well, I'm going to tell you what, all the interviews we've done, real estate's changed their life to a point, or as part of their life, to a point. In getting to know you better today, I just really feel like real estate is your life. It took you out of the rags to riches story. It has impacted you in every which way. It has enabled you to be able to travel and explore the person that you really are deep internal. But it just allows you to be you, which is authentic in its own right. But you're one of my favorite people I met on this trip. You definitely stood out, had just phenomenal conversations, deep, talks. Like we did the 60 seconds between the three of us that were sitting at that table that night until 2 or 3 in the morning.
Yeah,
I think it was. And we all just kind of sat there in the lobby and we're just all deep diving and digging. And I really got a lot out of that. It was great to meet you, and I appreciate you coming on this. I know it was out of your comfort zone, but I think that you definitely need to do more of getting your story out there, because it is a story to tell, and people love to hear people starting from nothing, coming to something. And then also you moved and you went from the big city and you went to a different place, and and just reinvented yourself. And it's cool. And I can't wait to have you back on another year or two, seeing where you have changed in your life since. And please keep in touch. And also thank you for all the shares that you've been doing with our podcast on your RIA groups. That was really cool.
Well, show.
I'm happy to do it, guys. Again, I've learned so much about myself. So this was really, really awesome. And I'll take this and move forward. And who knows where I'll be when I come on your podcast next.
Yes, love it.
Well, with that, Owen Dashner, we sign us off.
On behalf of RIA Radio, Aiden Bear, and Ted Kosh, I'm Owen Dashner, and you've been listening to Jennifer Building a Relentless Life via Hot Dog Love, 5-cent beers, and periwinkle track hose. Newbie.
Sign off.
How many podcasts have you done?
0.
Okay, yes.
I'm a ghost. I told Ted I'm a ghost. Real G's move in silence like lasagna.
I told you this is what I was expecting.
What the hell, man?
Jennifer, all I can say is be yourself, girl. Be yourself.
I'm here. I can't be anybody else. I gotta tell you.
That's exactly what I was expecting. Thank you. I warned everybody.
Oh, that's hilarious.